Alright, so today we're going to be going over some basics of Microsoft Excel, and in between that we're going to come up with a worksheet that describes or has favorite movies of the students in INFT124. So before we even begin doing that, I want to go over a few basics about Microsoft Excel. And any Microsoft Office product, they're made up of tabs. So home is a tab, insert's a tab, formula is a tab, review is a tab, view is a tab. Within each one of the tabs, you have different groups. So clipboard is a group, font is a group, alignment is a group, styles is a group, editing is a group. And within the groups, you have ribbons. So this is the cut ribbon in the home tab, clipboard group. Cut is right here. That's a ribbon. Bold is on the home tab, font group. Bold is there. Center is on the home tab, alignment, and the ribbon's there. And if I wanted to go to the insert tab, if I wanted to go to maybe get a header or a footer, I'm going to go to the insert tab, go over to the text group, and click on the header footer ribbon. So those are some basics that you'll hear me as I navigate through Microsoft Excel. If I wanted to go to the backstage to save a file or give the file a new name, I would go to the File tab, and this takes me to the backstage. And you see I can open up a new workbook. I can open up an existing workbook. I can save, I can print, I can share, I can export it to a PDF file. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can change the properties. You can put customized toolbars, ribbons, and things like that. And that's done in the backstage by clicking on File. Now, this whole screen that I'm in for Excel is called a workbook. The name is located up here, so it says book 1. So this is workbook. The name for this workbook is book 1, and it's Excel. Within all of the workbooks, you have worksheets. So I'm on sheet 1. If I wanted to create a new sheet, I'll just click on the plus sign, and all that I can have, can't recall what the max worksheets are. But if you wanted to create a new worksheet and have something in worksheet 2, I can put that in there. And if I wanted to put something in worksheet 3, so I can separate the different worksheets and the different data that I want to have by having different worksheets. All right, good. So as promised, we're going to start working on the INFT 124 favorite movies. Alright, so far we have Scary Movie, Lion King, Gone with the Wind, Boys in the Hood, Frozen, and Pretty Woman. Alright, so now we have our movie list all typed in. So in B2, we're going to keep track of the genre that they're in. So if it's a horror movies, comedy, if it's a cartoon, we're gonna keep track of that. We're gonna keep track of the parent rating. So is it a PG, G, no NC-17s or X-rated movies, rated R, PG-13, and then we'll say what format. So if it's a DVD, VHS, beta, or if it's streaming, we'll put that in there, and then we'll do cost. So those will be the different things that we break the movies down by. So now that I'm putting all the genres in, as I start typing animation for Frozen, you see it starting to type in animation for me. To just accept this, I can hit the enter key and it'll automatically put animation in there. Alright, so I'm going to put in drama for American Beauty, and you see as I'm starting to type DRA, you see it's almost automatically typing drama in there for me. So I'm going to just press enter, and it automatically fills the word drama into that cell for me. So as I get down to Friday, I'm going to start typing comedy in here, and you see it automatically assumes that I want to type comedy in there. So. And Predator is an action movie. I'm going to start typing A. You see it's trying to type animation in there, but it's not animation. It's actually, we'll go with action. Beetlejuice is comedy. I'm not sure about this, so we'll just call it drama. Bad Boys 2, comedy, action. We'll go action. So you see when I type A here, it's not automatically putting in action or the animation in there. Once I type the C in, you see that it wants to put action in there. If I get rid of the C and type a N, you see it wants to put animation in there. Swordfish, action. Inject City, action. Another action. What We Do in the Shadows. Alright, so I'm going to type comedy in What We Do in Shadows. And you see, I type comedy, but it looks like it got rid of the title, What We Do in the Shadows. It's completely overlapping. The word comedy is overlapping What We Do in the Shadows. And then Little Miss Sunshine. Alright, so same thing with Little Miss Sunshine. I'm going to type comedy in there. And this is action. So you see that it got rid of, although it looks like it's gone, if you look in the formula bar, you see Little Miss Sunshine is typed in there. And we'll size it correctly a little bit later on in this assignment. So even the Spencer Confidential is covered up. American Beauty's covered up. But you see in the formula bar, it tells me that the words are still there. Alright, so as far as ratings, alright, R, probably PG. I need a PG-13 in here. Let's do PG-13 there. Oh, we already had one. Alright, so that takes care of the rating. So the format. How are we viewing these movies? Alright, so we're filling out the format for Boys in the Hood. Alright, Predator 2. Alright, so I got down to Bad Boys 2 and I noticed that I have it the same. And I want to get rid of this whole column. So to do that, I'm going to click on, or not the column, the row. I'm going to click on row 19, and you see that highlights everything in the row. And if you look up at the top at the columns, you see that there are a lot of columns. I'm already in the D, E's. So you see I can go very far, but I just want to select this whole column, and I'm going to do a right mouse click, and I'm going to select delete to get rid of that duplicate Bad Boys. And then I'm going to move on to What We Do in the Dark. Alright, so I have my formats. So I'm going to move on to the cost. So we'll just say that we'll just lowball them and say Gone with the Wind. $2.99. You got it from a thrift store or something. Cable, we'll just say $5 for cable. Disney Plus, the subscription is $9.99 for the Disney subscription. Cable, we'll just say $5 for cable, $9.99 for Disney subscription. Good old VHS. All right, so we have all our movies in here, the genres, the ratings, the formats, and the costs. Some of these costs are made up, I know. Some of them actually have dollar signs. We'll fix all of that. So the first thing we're going to fix is I want to make the heading of this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go to the cell C1, which is where the heading is. If I go to cell D1, you see there's nothing in the formula bar because there's nothing typed there. And also E1, there's nothing there. So if I click on cell C1, I see that there's something in the cell bar. So that's the cell that I'm going to be making changes to. So I'm going to go to my home tab and I want to change the font to something else. Let's do Adobe Gothic. That don't look too bad. And I'm going to change the font size. I'm still in my home, on the home tab in the font group. I'm going to change the font size to 24. And see, it's still not centered the way I want it. So I want it to go across this whole from A1 to E1. So if I click on merge center, you see it spans across A1 over to actually F1. Let me see if I double click and auto size it, makes it look weird. So we're going to hold off on changing that to merge and center. All right, so the next thing I need to take care of is to auto adjust the fields. So I can auto adjust each individual field by going in between the columns. So if I wanted to auto adjust the format field, I would go between column D and column E. And you see you have that straight line with the two arrows pointing to the left and the right. If I have that, that means I can auto size it. So I'm going to do a double left click here, and you see it auto sizes so everything shows up in the cells. But if I wanted to auto size the whole document without going through all of that, I would go right here, right to the left. I would go to the left of the A column and above the one row and click on that triangle. And you see that selects everything in the document. And if I wanted to double size, I would just go in between one of the columns that has a column that doesn't show the whole name and get the auto size, and I double click. You see everything's auto sized. But you see this column C is looking kind of weird. So we're going to bring that back here. So you see when I moved it back myself, it allowed me to just move what was in column C, but it didn't affect the heading. So now I have everything spaced out the way I want it, with the exception of the heading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge and center this across A to cell C or E. To do that, I need to select cells A1 all the way to E1. Go to the Home tab, the Alignment group, and select Merge and Center. And if you just hover over Merge and Center, it tells you exactly what it does. All right, so you see everything's going from A to E, and you see the name, the heading, is only across the selections that I selected. So A to E, columns A to E. I think I want to put an underline. I want that to be underlined. So I'm going to go to my Home tab, Font Group, Underline. All right, so there's something else that I need to change here, and that's to make sure that everything in this field is the format that the number format that I want. I want all of these to be dollars, because right now this isn't a dollar. It's just says like 5. Like I have 5 Beetlejuice copies, but that's not a cost. So to change the format, there's several ways I can do that. I can go and select cells E3 and go all the way down to E21, have those selected, go to my home menu, number group, and select currency. And then I want to, so you see it put dollars in there. The other way that you can do is make sure that cells E3 to E21 are selected. Right mouse click somewhere in that selection, go down to format cells, and this is kind of what's on the home numbers group. This is the shortcut from getting to the format cells number tab. So I can select currency, and in here you can see that it's a sample. I can put as many, I can increase the decimal points, which I don't know why you would increase it if it's already 2, or I can decrease it. But I'm going to have two numbers after the decimal point, and for negative numbers, I can select how I would want the negative numbers to appear. I could either have a negative number or a negative sign, or I can just make that negative number all red, or I can make it with a parentheses with black font color, or I can make it red font color with a parentheses. I like using the minus sign in front of the number. I think in accounting they use the red parentheses, but I'm going to use that. So it got rid of my number sign. So let me go back in there. Oh, that's why. I didn't have currency selected. So you can change the symbol for whatever currency you're using, but we're going to use this dollar sign. And you see, so you can change your numbers different ways. I usually right mouse click and go to format cells, but you can do the same by going to the home tab, the numbers group, and selecting whatever format you want to use. You can get rid of the decimals, add decimals, or add numbers after the decimal. So you see that 1995, it gets rounded up when you start taking away the numbers. You can turn it into a percent, put commas in there. There's a lot of different things you can do. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change the headings for the rows or the different things. I want to maybe put an underline, so I'm going to go to the home tab, the font group, and I'm going to select double underline. So you have your double underline. I want to make it bold as well and make it italic. Alright, so I'm going to start messing around with the font now for different rows. So for Scary Movie, I want to change the font color for all of the things that's under Scary Movie, comedy, it's rated R, cable, and $5 cost. So to do that, I'm going to go to the home tab, the font group, and I'm going to click the drop down arrow for the font color, and I'm going to try to find a dark blue. Dark blue right there. Alright, so it doesn't show up as a different color. Let me see if I do a fill color, how that looks. So I can change the fill color as well. I can change that color to maybe, let's see which one would, I can see it a little better with that shading. So see, I can change that, but you see the lines look like they went away, but they're still there. We can change that very shortly. Alright, so if we wanted to change the fill for Frozen, I would go to my home tab, font group, and go to fill color, and I could change that to purple, but I still keep well, let's see what we can change the font color. We'll change the font color to, oh, I like that, yellow. Alright, so we have that. Alright, so if I wanted to change the colors to the Wiz, I could change the fill color to green. So I'm going to go to my home tab, my font group, and click on the fill, and green. And if I wanted to change the font color to orange, that might not work too well. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, that's a good orange right there. We're going to change Beetlejuice. We're going to change the font color to white. And we're going to change the fill color to black. Kind of like that. Alright, so I'm going to change Bad Boys 2. I'll change the fill color. Again, I'm going to Home, Font, change it to blue. And I'll change the font color. Yeah, which red do we want to use? I'll go with regular red. Ooh, that's kind of hard to look at, but we'll go with that. Alright, so I can change New Jack City. I can change that fill color to, let me see, I like that gray, and change the font color to white. Alright, so if we want to change Thor's colors, we'll make, let's see, okay, I think I'll go with that blue, and change the font color to, let's go to light green. Okay, so that's how I change the font color and the fill color. Now, if I wanted to put some borders in here, the way that I put borders in here to make it look a little bit easier to view, I would go to my Home tab, Font Group, and depending on the type of border I want to put in there, I usually like to use all borders, and I have to select everything before I start changing the borders. But I like to select all borders, and you see it makes it easier to differentiate which column I'm trying to look at or which cell I'm trying to look at. One thing I didn't do is save the name. So right now the name of this file is Book 1. I'm going to do a Control S, and since I haven't named it yet, it's going to pull up the Save As dialog box. So I'm going to Save As. I'm going to navigate to where I want to put the file. And I'm going to name this INFT124 Favorite Movies. Save it. So now it's saved. So we're going to also change this worksheet name to Favorite Movies. INFT124 Favorite Movies. So I can do this a couple of different ways. I can double click. That puts me in the edit mode. Or I can right mouse click on the sheet and select rename. Alright, and then once I'm done typing, I just click somewhere within the worksheet. And I have two other worksheets that I'm not going to use, so to delete those, I'm going to right mouse click on the worksheet that I want to delete, select delete. It's going to give me an error message saying that once I delete this, I can't undo it. Do I want to proceed? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then I'm also going to delete sheet number 3. I'm going to save my document. And if I want to do some changing to the headings for each thing, I can select cells A2 all the way to E2. And if I wanted to make this center, I'll go to my Home tab, Alignment Group, and select Center. And see everything centered. And then I think I want to make this center as well. And make the cost center. Alright. So that takes care of that. I think this looks nice. I think we're done with the worksheet for our favorite movies. So this is a basic lesson of how to use Microsoft Excel. We'll get a little bit more advanced throughout the semester, but this is basically how you can use Microsoft Excel.